My dear brothers and sisters, we hear many times that the Quran is a mu'jiza, it is a miracle. And we can talk for hours and hours on how it is a miracle, but just one way that it is a miracle, that it is truly timeless. The advice, the guidance, it's still relevant today as it was when it was revealed 1400 years ago. And no matter where you are in your life, what lens you're looking at through the Quran, you will always learn and pick up new things, new gems. For me, after becoming a parent, alhamdulillah, when you read the Quran through the lens of a parent, it hits you so differently. One example is Surah Yusuf. Allah gives so much incredible advice on how to be a parent, subtle and sometimes not so subtle, how to have a relationship with your kids, how to talk to your kids. And as parents, we can take so much parenting advice from the Quran. And so today I want to discuss 3 Quranic wisdoms when it comes to parenting from Surah Yusuf, and in particular, fathers and sons relationships. So parental psychology from the Quran, 3 lessons that we learn from Surah Yusuf. Lesson number 1, inshallah, and we all know Surah Yusuf, the story of the boy who was thrown into the well. There's so much that we can say, but if we can just get through the 4th ayah, I think we'll be okay. إِذْ قَالَ يُوسُفُ لِأَبِيهِ. When Yusuf says to his dad, when Yusuf, a boy, goes and talks to his dad. How many boys talk to their dad? About anything, everything. Anything that comes into your mind, the first person you think of talking to is dad. No? Then we got a problem. We got a problem understanding Surah Yusuf. Because innal walad, no. Yaqulu ummihi, la. إِذْ قَالَ يُوسُفُ أَبِيهِ. He said to his father. Now, there's a difference between saying walidi and abihi. Walid is used for your genetic father, your biological father. But ab is used for the father that loves you, that takes care of you, that raises you, that educates you, that turns you into a man. Now that's an ab. There's a lot of walid in the world today. There's very few ab. Now Yusuf alayhi salam is this young boy. He comes over to his dad and he says, Ya abati, dad, I love you. See, ya ab means my dad. Dad, Abu, Baba, Papa, Abu Jan. But abati, with the fil hub, shows love. Dad, you're my dad, I love you. Right? How many boys come up to their dad and say, I love you, dad, before they even begin the conversation? Man. Right? And the ta is ihtiram, for respect. The way he spoke is respectful, full of love. Obviously, this boy has something very important that he needs to tell his dad, like, Dad, can I have $5? Right? Who asks for 5 anymore? No one asks for less than 20, right? The rate's gone up. But Yusuf alayhi salam, he says, Inni ra'aytu ahada ashara kawkaban. Dad, I saw 11 stars. Okay, son, you saw 11 stars? That's cool. I believe you. Washams, and the sun. Wait, you saw 11 stars and the sun? At the same time? At the same time. Wal qamar, and the moon. Okay, son. Does Yaqub alayhi salam stop his son? No. His son is so weirded out by this dream that Yusuf stops himself. And he says, Dad, I'm telling you, for real, inni, for real, absolutely, I did. I saw 11 stars and the sun and the moon. And then he stops. And ra'aytuhum, he repeats himself again. He's so nervous, he stops and he repeats himself. You know when kids get nervous, they repeat themselves? You know if your kid's at a playground and he hits another kid and he has to come and tell you about it? He's like, I was at the playground and I was at the slide and I was sliding and I was sliding and there was a slide and that's going to keep going on, right? My kid has this thing where if he does something wrong, like if he'll hit his younger brother, he'll just start repeating, Abu, Abu. And he'll just keep repeating that all the way until he makes his way to my office. Just repeating Abu, and then he finally gets to me. I'm like, yes, Baba, what did you do? Nothing, right? And I have to figure it out. But I know, after the 3rd Abu, he did something wrong, right? That's the repetition. Yusuf alayhi salam is this young boy. He comes over to his dad. He's so nervous. He thinks my dad is not going to believe me. And he says, Inni, no doubt about it. I need you to believe me, Dad. I love you. I saw 11 stars and the sun and the moon at the same time. Ra'aytuhum. Wait a minute. Hum? Why is he using hum? In Arabic, you can't use hum. You have to use ha or hunna. Hum is for people. So why is he using home? So we're learning that for Yusuf alayhi salam, he's realizing that it's not just the 11 stars and the sun and the moon. He thinks they're people. This dream is getting more strange. And it's going to get even more stranger. Li sajidin. Not sajidin ali. Li sajidin. They were doing sajda to me. He is shocked. They're doing sajda to me, Dad. Why would they do that? Now, it's a dream. It already doesn't make much sense. And he saw the 11 stars, the sun and the moon. He thinks they're people, right? And they're doing sajda. Like, I want to pause here for a second. For those of you who are dads, how would you respond if your son came up to you and said this to you, right? Does this father, Yaqub alayhi salam, does he turn to his son and he says, "Son, what did you have for dinner last night?" Right? It's okay, Baba. Just go to school. Go to school, right? But actually, before I tell you what the father says, my problem is this is a boy. And this boy says, I saw a dream, a really strange dream, and he's disturbed by it. And the first person that I should go talk to is my dad, not even my mom. Moms, they actually listen. But Dad, I'm going to talk to Dad. You know what this is? This is an ayah of what kind of dads you and I should be. We should be such awesome fathers that our kids, they can talk to us about anything. They can talk to us about anything, even if it's something that doesn't even make any sense. Even if it's just a dream, it's not even real. But if it bothered them the least bit, the first person they know that they can talk to, and they won't, yell at you, they won't judge you, they won't dismiss you, they won't tell you to go away, right? It's going to be my dad. That's the type of fathers that we are supposed to be when we read Surah Yusuf. It's a lot. Like it's a pretty heavy expectation. I know it's a pretty heavy expectation for me because I suffer from parental attention span disorder. I have a hard time paying attention to my kid talk sometimes, especially when he doesn't make any sense. If my kid is going to tell me what Blippi did for 20 minutes, I'm going to have a hard time paying attention. But just because of this ayah, just because I'm inspired by this ayah, I will listen. And I will say to him, and what else did Blippi do, son? Did he ride the excavator or no? I'll have to ask. I'll have to pay attention. I'll have to listen. Fathers in the Muslim community, they're usually associated with authority, with punishment, with seriousness, with high expectation. This boy knows that my father is going to listen to me. He won't laugh at me. He won't dismiss me. He can keep my secret. He is going to be my safe space. He's not going to say, boys, come here. He's not going to call his other sons and be like, boy, listen to what your brother said. Say it again, say it again. He's not going to embarrass him. He's not going to do that. Those parents who embarrass their kids in front of other kids? That's wrong, right? That's wrong. This child feels that he can confide in his father, and this is probably one of the most valuable lessons from Surah Yusuf in my mind as a father. The most valuable lesson. Why? Because the biggest problem that I see today in the world for parents, the biggest problem that I see is that our children don't tell us what's bothering them until it's too late. Until they're 9, 10 years old, and it's too late. And they don't talk to us, they don't tell us because they think, and they wish they could, but they think that we're just going to go crazy, we're going to flip out. And you know what? They're right, we do flip out. And so they don't tell us what's bothering them. Now, when they don't open up to us, they still feel the need to open up to someone, so they open up to their friends. And sometimes it's their non-Muslim friends, and so they get non-Muslim sorts of advice. And so they tell their friends things that they will never tell you. And then so you want to find out what they're going through. You find out they're on social media, and you make an Instagram or TikTok profile so you can see what they're thinking. But they make a secret profile because they don't want you to know what they and their friends talk about and what they're going through. And they keep jumping from profile to profile because they don't want you to know what they're really thinking. Our kids, they make a lot of effort. They make a lot of effort, man, in trying to keep their parents from knowing what they are thinking, and that's not their fault. That is our fault. That's our fault. We didn't realize how important it is to make sure that they understand that we will listen to anything and then we will not flip out. And this takes a really big heart from your end and mine, because we might hear things that are really disturbing, guys. Right? We might hear things that are truly disturbing, and we have to be mentally prepared to hear things that are disturbing, but we cannot let that disturbance turn into a lecture, scolding, frustration, anger. It cannot turn into one of those things, right? Because if you yell at them once, They've learned their lesson. I can't talk to them again, right? And that door is closed. Allah Azza wa Jalla honored the children of Adam alayhi salam with this thing called dignity. Every child has dignity, and when they're being yelled at, when they're being scolded, that's an attack on their dignity. And so they don't want to go through that again, so they won't open up again. Now, and this is what a father is supposed to be. A father is supposed to be a safe space. A father is supposed to keep their child from this harm, from being embarrassed. And even modern psychology tells us today that the worst thing for a child is not punishment. It's actually feeling the fear of feeling embarrassed. They don't want to feel embarrassed. That's the worst thing. And that's what the father is supposed to be. He is supposed to listen. He is supposed to keep his child's secrets. He is supposed to be his best friend. He is supposed to be the first person you think of talking to. And this is before Yusuf alayhi salam is a teenager, because he's still a child. Why is that important? Because if you don't open that door when they're a child, man, that door becomes permanently shut by the time they become a teenager. You ever try talking to a teenager? For those of you who have teens, you know. Once they become teenagers, it's like, how was school? What'd you do? Nothing. Who are your friends? Some guys. What'd you have for lunch? Food. What are you going to do later? I don't know. That's all it is. Just one word answers. You can't get more than one word out of them, right? They feel like every time you try to talk to them, it's like a root canal. Like, why are you trying to talk to me so much, bro? Like, all right, Dad, I'm getting this phone call. Like, they're not getting a phone call. They just don't want to talk to you. They're like, yeah, right? They're avoiding you when they come to that age. We have to go out of our way and play sports with our kids, to hang out with our kids, watch the cartoons that they watch, listen to the things that they're interested in, discuss things with them, and treat them with respect, treat them with intellect. And it's very hard to do sometimes, but we have to know our kids. We have to talk to our kids, and we have to open the door to conversation with them. That is the first Quranic parenting advice that we see here from Surah Yusuf. As a parent, and especially as a father, open the door to communication with them, because we have to know what they're thinking. And I'll tell you this really crazy example. So I teach at our Sunday school at my masjid, and in a kind of a weird way, I kind of become like a parental figure to some of these kids, or an older brother, because I spend so much time with them. I teach them, we hang out, we spend a lot of time with them. So you almost become like an older parent type figure. So there's this kid a couple of years ago, like very smart, super smart, but very quiet, never talked, never called himself out, never even raised his hand, but did all his homework, straight A student, very bright. But he never spoke much. And so one of the days I was like, near the end of the school year, I was like, let me talk to you, man. So I took him to the side, and I was like, I feel like I don't know you. So I was talking to him, and I was blown away. I was like, bro, you're this smart, you're this mature, you've done this much, right? It's like I was talking to a completely different person. Because of his silence, I never assumed that there was anything more to him. But this kid is like a YouTube star. He's got like thousands of followers on Discord. Like, he's a social media presence. But it's like I was talking to and I didn't know anything about this. But all of this happened because I engaged him in conversation. And that made me think, like, man, do I do that with my kids? Like, I hang out with them, I play with them, but because they don't talk, I assume there's nothing going on in their heads. That's bad. That is bad. We have to make sure that our children are comfortable enough that they get out of their heads and they verbalize what they are thinking, because we need to know what's going on in their heads. We really need to know what they're thinking. And we can't command them. It has to come, cognitively, through discussion, how to get through discussion cognitively. We have to get into their minds. And sometimes when your children will ask you crazy questions, when you open this up, your kids might ask you some crazy questions, and you'll be like, oh my God, Brother Rizwan, my kid asked me, how do I know if Allah is really there? And I don't know how to answer. And it's like, listen, your kid asked you that. That means they were thinking it. If they didn't ask you, they will still be thinking it, right? Now, at least you know what's going on in their heads. It's a wonderful, even if you hear disturbing things, it's a wonderful opportunity for yourself and me to see what's going on in their heads. Because if it didn't tell you, it still would have been in their head, and it still would have been confusing. This is the door that we have to open. Number one parenting advice from the Quran: open the door to conversation with your children. إِذْ قَالَ يُوسُفُ لِأَبِيهِ إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ أَحَدَ عَشَرَ كَوْكَبًا وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ رَأَيْتُهُمْ لِي سَاجِدِينَ. And fathers in particular, Moms, it goes without saying, but dads in particular, because it doesn't come natural to us, we have to communicate with our children a lot, and that begins by being good listeners. We see the sunnah of Yaqub alayhi salam, he listens to his children. And fathers in particular, when you come home from work, your cell phone needs to be put away, the TV needs to be turned on, and you need to be available, you need to be accessible. So open that door to conversation with your kids. Number 2, parenting advice, and because of the time, I won't get a chance to really get into it, but now how did Yaqub alayhi salam respond to this? Qala ya bunayya, oh my dear son, don't relate your vision to your brothers, or they will devise a plot against you. Surely shaitan is a sworn enemy to mankind. The father is such an awesome listener. He is such a great listener. He picks up immediately that this kid, not only did he see a dream, he's also figured out what it means. He's interpreted it. He's figured out that the stars, the sun, and the moon, they're not just people. They're not just that. They're people, and they're making sajda to him. He's figured it out. And his kid's really smart. So he says, Ya bunayya, son, I love you. See, ibni or yabni, my son. Ya bunayya, my dear son, I love you. Come sit next to me. Let me talk to you, right? Look at the words that he uses, how he talks to his son, and that's the second advice. Because he says, don't tell your other brothers. Now, why not? He doesn't want Yusuf alayhi salam to hate his other brothers. When you read Surah Yusuf, you might think like, man, his other brothers are evil. They're messed up. Like they're bad kids. Notice Yaqub alayhi salam never calls them any of those things. The words that he chooses for his sons, he never calls them that. He says it's shaitan who's evil that you need to be aware of. He doesn't call his sons names. He doesn't call them evil. He doesn't call them bad. And that's the number 2 Quranic parenting advice from Surah Yusuf. We learn how the father talks to his son with love, with respect. He compliments his kids. Respect your kids. Compliment your kids. Don't insult them. Don't call them evil names or evil nicknames. Don't waste an opportunity to give them compliments. Whether it's a math test, whether it's just an art project, whether it's cleaning up the house, whether it's praying next to you, say you did a really good job. I'm so proud of you. Give them small things to do so they can do things for you, and you can say, wow, I'm so happy with you. Allah is going to be so proud of you, right? Use good words. Give them reasons to be proud of them. Yaqub alayhi salam responds to his son's dream with compliments. It's just a dream. It didn't even happen, but he's complimenting him. And that reminds me especially for those of us in the Desi subcontinent, and then for other cultures as well, the words that we use for our kids, sometimes it's cold, man. They're bad. And we get so used to them, we don't even realize, and they become a habit. Using good words for your kids, even modern psychology tells us that when we use positive language with our kids, it builds their self-esteem, it builds their confidence, and it promotes good behavior. Some of us really need to change the way that we talk to our kids. Kids are going to do things. They're going to normal things like break the glass, spill some milk, wet the bed, whatever it is. They're going to mess up, but we cannot be there to scold them at every moment, right? The last thing they need is for them to internalize our insults. That's going to destroy them. So we see here Yaqub alayhi salam, it was just a dream, but the father is still gentle. He's still soft. He's still praising his son. What are we learning from this conversation? So much what our father and a son relationship should be like. Confidence, confidentiality, open communication, compliments. Let me come back to that. Compliment your kids, man. I know they're not perfect. I know you feel like he's just a gada who couldn't get into med school. Don't say that. What is wrong with you, right? Use good words with them. Don't let them internalize your insults. Say good things about them. Compliment them. And don't call them evil. Never say, my kid's bad, my kid's evil. My kid's like the other brothers of Yaqub alayhi salam. Even Yaqub doesn't call them evil. And even they turned around. They made tawbah, right? So there's hope that Allah will guide them, inshallah. So your job is to never give up on them. And this is just the kinds of parental psychology that's mentioned that in this surah between fathers and sons. Number 1 advice from the Quran, open the door to communication. Talk to your kids. Number 2, compliment them. Use good words. And especially as fathers, this is your job. This is a must. A couple of rules that we have to follow for fathers in particular. When you come home, Bro, your cell phone needs to be put away. Your calls, your text messages, your responses, that needs to end in the driveway in your car. Because when you come home, through the door, your kids should be excited to see you and tell you what's happening in their world, and we need to be there to listen. You know, one of the most beautiful things in the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is when he would come home, his kids and his family would be excited to see him at the door. Does that happen for you and me? If it doesn't, we need to change. We need to be so available, so happy that our kids would love to see us. So we need to be there to listen. And this is something that Yaqub alayhi salam is very, very successful at. So we need to change our attitude that when you come home from work, my job is done, I'm going to relax. No, your job is just starting, buddy. This is your real job. That was preparation for this real job. Your job is just starting. Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qulu anfusakum wa ahlikum naran. Protect yourselves and your family from the fires of hell. So we have to get to work as soon as we come home from work. Spend time with the kids, listen to them, go down to their level, become kids. We can't expect kids to act and think like adults. They can't do that. Go down to their level. And into their worlds. So that's the first order of business. So the first parenting advice, open the door to communication. Number 2, use positive language, good words with your kids. And the third and the most powerful Quranic advice for parents, the best gift that you can give your kids, the best gift, the best present that you can give your kids, because of the time, I won't have time to share it. I'll share it tonight. So tonight, inshallah, we have a very unique event, and I thank your masjid for inviting me. As some of you know, amongst other things, I'm the author of Metal Ghost, the first Muslim superhero novel and Muslimah superhero comic book. Tonight we have an event designed for youth, teens, and families titled My Abu and Me, the Muslim Superhero. I'll share some powerful advice from our rich Islamic history. I'll go over how the Prophet ﷺ and our parents are real superheroes that inspire us on a daily basis. And inshallah, it's going to be an inspiring event for families. And so you don't want to miss it. It'll start tonight, I think, at 8:30. Come with your families, especially fathers and sons. And I'll pick it up from where I left off. The third parenting advice, the best gift that we can give our kids. I'll start off with that, inshallah. May Allah protect our kids from harm. May Allah bless our homes with peace and allow us to be the reason that our children love their faith and live it proudly. May Allah help us to raise them upon the Quran and Sunnah, and may they be the source of light in this life and the next. Ameen. Wa akhiru dana. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.